You know that feeling, right? You're in a conversation, but it feels like you're separated by this invisible wall. You just can't seem to get through. Well, today we're going to figure out what that wall is actually made of and, more importantly, how we can start tearing it down brick by brick.
It is so frustrating, isn't it? You're putting your thoughts out there, but you can practically feel the words just bouncing off something. That's not just in your head, that's a very real communication barrier, and it's the thing that's stopping your message from landing.
So let's be super clear about what we mean. This isn't just about big, heated arguments. A communication barrier is, well, anything that gets in the way. Anything that messes with a message or just plain blocks it from being understood the way you meant it. Think of it like static on a radio or a glitch in the code.
Okay, so if we're gonna tear this wall down, we first have to see how it's built. Let's really look at the different bricks, the specific types of barriers that can stack up and get in our way.
First up are the most obvious ones, the physical barriers. You know, like a terrible connection on a video call, or trying to have a really important talk in a super loud cafe shop. The environment itself is literally blocking the conversation. Then you've got the barriers that are inside our own minds. When you're stressed out, anxious, or just, not really paying attention, it's pretty much impossible to communicate clearly. Our mental state acts like a filter, and honestly, it can seriously warp every single message we send and receive. Sometimes, believe it or not, the barrier is the actual words we're using. Think about using a ton of technical jargon with someone who's not in your field, or even just a simple word that can mean two totally different things. It creates confusion instantly. The real question is, are you both actually speaking the same language, even if you're technically using the same words? And sometimes the problem isn't you, it's the system you're in. At a company, if a piece of info has to pass through, say, 10 different people to get from point A to point B, you can bet it's going to get twisted or just show up late. All that red tape and those strict rules can really clog up the works. Now, this is a huge one. Our cultural backgrounds create these invisible rule books. Something that feels totally normal to you might be really confusing or even offensive to someone else. Like in some cultures, making direct eye contact is a sign of honesty, but in others, it could feel aggressive. These unwritten rules can cause some serious mix-ups. Then, of course, there's the personal stuff. When you've got egos clashing or there's just no trust in the room, communication basically grinds to a halt. You see people physically cross their arms, put up their defenses, and just stop listening. The quality of the relationship really is the foundation for any good communication. And finally, in this digital world of ours, the very tools we depend on can fail us. Come on, we've all been there. The video call freezes right before you make your big point, or that super important email somehow ends up in the spam folder. Technology can build walls just as fast as it can connect us. Okay, so we laid out all the bricks in the wall. That's a lot of ways for things to go wrong. But here's the good news. For every single barrier, there's a tool to help you tear it down. So let's switch gears and start looking at the blueprints for building much better connections. I love this because it's so simple and powerful. Think of it like a quick checklist. Before you have an important conversation, just run through these 4 things. Is the environment right for this talk? Am I using language that's easy to understand? Is my attitude open? And maybe the most important one, am I actually checking to make sure they get it? Let's make this really, really practical. Instead of talking at someone, using a bunch of complicated terms, try talking with them, using simple, clear language. I mean, the goal here isn't to sound smart, right? The goal is to be understood. It's about shifting from a monologue to a real dialogue. And hey, remember those interpersonal barriers we talked about, like mistrust and ego? Well, the fix is to actually work on the relationship itself. When you focus on building trust and encouraging teamwork, you're not just being a nice person, you're being strategic. You're taking down the walls that block communication before they even get built. We've covered a bunch of different tools, but there is one that really stands out from the rest. It's like the single most powerful tool you have in your communication kit. This quote right here says it all. It completely changes the game. See, it's not just about sending out a clear message. It's about taking responsibility for making sure that message is received clearly. So how on earth can you know if what you said is actually what they understood? The answer is feedback. That's the master key. You can't just throw your message out there and hope for the best. You have to actively ask for questions. Say things like, does that make sense? Or what are your thoughts on this? You have to turn every communication into a two-way street. That is how you confirm that your message actually landed. All right, so we've identified the barriers, and we've got the tools to start taking them apart. Now, the real question is over to you. Which one will you start with? Think about the next conversation you're going to have. What's just one small thing you can change to tear down a wall and build a better connection?